أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers. Alhamdulillah, we start by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we send our salam and salawat on Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We've been doing the series of Abadilah, the life story of the four great Sahaba of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And Alhamdulillah, today we reached the end of this series. So with the short talk today, we'll be finishing up the life story of one of the great Sahaba, Abdullah ibn Masud. We started by saying the story of the four young Sahaba. We say young because they were very, very young, age of 10 years old, 13 years old in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We start with his cousin Abdullah ibn Abbas. Then we talked about, Abdullah ibn Khattab, Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As. Then we talked about Abdullah ibn Zubair ibn al-Awwam. And then we say we're going to talk about another great Sahaba who is Abdullah ibn Masud, although who is not included in this four, but he is also another Abdullah, and he has a great contribution to the Islam, and that's why we are going through the life story of Abdullah ibn Masud. And we are doing this to know that their family, their background, their interaction with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the struggle they did, their learning, their knowledge, their wisdom, and how they have contributed to the society and to the Muslim Ummah. So for Abdullah ibn Masud, when we started almost probably 3 weeks back, we talked about his time with Prophet Islam. He had few nicknames. One of the nickname was he was Sudusul Islam. He's the 1/6 of Islam. We talked about how great Quran reciter he was, how he learned so many surahs from the mouth of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We talked about his bit unique physical appearance, in compared to other Sahaba, because he was a short person, and he has very thin body. And we talked about even with that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed him in so much way, and Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam described so many virtues of Abdullah ibn Masud, about his knowledge, about his ibadah, and about his contribution to Islam. Then we talked about his appreciation by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran. We talked about how Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave him the good news of Jannah, and he witnessed the low and high point of Islam. He saw a lot of miracles like the splitting of the moon, the night with the jinn. All this time, all the major events that happened in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was there with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then last week we talked about his jihad, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored him despite of his physical appearance. He was not as strong Sahaba, but still with his hand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken the life of the Pharaoh of this Ummah, Abu Jahl, and he has been honored by Prophet Muhammad for that act. He did his khutbah, his marriage, his poverty, all these things we have discussed, and at the end we said, after Prophet Muhammad passed away, how he spent time with other Sahaba, especially with Umar ibn al-Khattab, because that was the great time, a big time, and he spent, how Umar used to respect him in terms of knowledge and in terms of his fiqh and other issues. So today we're going to finish his talk. Today's talk will be very short. So we talked about last week that he was not in a person to accept authority of something, but still because of his knowledge of Quran and because of the trouble that going on started from the people of the Kufa in Iraq, Umar requested him, a special request that I want you to go there for sure, because I want those people is very difficult to handle. So if you go there, if you teach them something, maybe I think they will be right people. And also he said to the people of the Kufa that you've been trouble for all the other governors that have sent you. If you really give trouble with this person Abdullah ibn Masud, then we will think that you are really in some in the other way of Islam. Basically you're not following. There's some problem with you guys. So Abdullah ibn Masud accepted this, and he went to the city of the Kufa. He became a governor there, a fiqh there, the sheikh or mufti, whatever you call that. He was the main guy up there. And one thing he did, he made sure that everybody knows Quran, because Quran was his specialty. And the Kufa, and later on it's been renounced as the city of the Quran. Some of the Sahaba, when they went to Kufa to visit Abdullah ibn Masud or any other purpose, because Kufa was getting popular and busy at that time. And one of the comments from Ali radiallahu anhu, when he went there and he saw that people know Quran left, right, and center. Every Muslim there they know Quran, they have memorized Quran. This is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through Abdullah ibn Masud, and they used to recite in a proper way. They used to recite in a proper way. And Ali ibn Abi Talib, he said, Rahmanallahu, may Allah's mercy be on this person, Abd, meaning Abdullah ibn Masud, how beautifully he has changed the city of the Kufa, and everybody wants to know about more of the Quran. One little incident, one day he was, walking past, and he saw some men in Kufa city, Abdullah ibn Masud, he saw some men, young men, they are making some noise, as if they are drunk. So even imagine at that time, it is haram to have alcohol, but still people in the Kufa, they drunk, and at night they are walking and making noise. And one of this group of students, or one guy, one young man, he was singing song, okay, with a beautiful voice. So they are like drunk, and one of them is like singing the whatever song he is singing. So Abdullah saw that, and he felt sad for them. They are wasting their time. They are doing haram stuff. And Abdullah ibn Masud just went close to the group, and he said to the person who was singing, he said to him that, and he is not in his sense because he's drunk. He just said, may Allah, give him hidayah so that his voice can be used for better thing, like for reciting Quran. Because he had a really beautiful voice. Sometimes we know there are people who have beautiful voice, but they're not probably Muslim, or they're far away from the Quran. So he just made the dua. So some other people, the guy who was singing, he didn't know that it's Abdullah ibn Masud because he was not in his sin. But later on in the next morning, some of the young men, they told him that, they are also drunk, but they had some sense. So they said, there was a man, Abdullah ibn Masud was here. He saw us, that, we're drinking and coming back home. He saw us. So the guy who was singing said, did he do something? Did he call for the punishment? Because, he's a witness of their crime, okay? So because, and that, if you consume alcohol, there is a punishment in Islamic law. So he said, no, he didn't do any punishment. Rather, he made a dua for you that if Allah give you hidayah, you could have used your voice to recite something better, like Quran or something. And that person is rahmah from Allah. He started crying. He started crying that how he cried because he thought that he hasn't given him any punishment. Rather, he made a dua for him. So he has a very big guilty feelings among him. He went to Abdullah ibn Masud and he grabbed his leg and he said, I'll never ever do any haram stuff, and please can you allow me to teach Quran. And later on that person became a very big Quran reciter. So this is all from the sincerity, the ikhlas of Abdullah ibn Masud. Also he has one of the great Sahaba, Khabbab ibn Arad. Khabbab is also a Sahaba, if you remember. He is also a very Sahaba at the time of Bilal. So Khabbab, Bilal, Suhaib al-Rumi, they are very early Muslim, as you all know, at the time of Makkah. So he is old at that time. So he went to the Kufa and he established his house and everything. He even died in Kufa. So he was there and he asked Abdullah, so Abdullah Masud, are you teaching your students the Quran the same way that you recite? He said, yes, I'm doing the same thing. You want to listen to someone. So Abdullah ibn Masud called one of his great students. His name is Alqama. So his name is Alqama. He called him, and Alqama he made all the Sahaba because he was born just after Prophet ﷺ passed away. So he couldn't become a Sahaba, but he was known to all the Sahaba because he was just like any other Tabi. He was a great scholar. He tried to learn all the time. So he made all the Sahaba, but he chose Abdullah ibn Masud as his teacher, and he recited some verses from the Surah Al-Maryam. And when he recited, it is as if, Khabbab said, it's as if the Abdullah ibn Masud is reciting. Exactly the same way, the same place he stopped in the same way, copy to copy. So, and all other students were like this, because his intention was so good. And also, later on, because from those students, there's other students. And as you all know that, we had a lecture here about the 7 ahruf of the Quran. And the great ahruf are like, Asim, Hamza, then there's a Kisaya, and also there is one called Al-Masru. So these 4 out of the 7 is all from Kufa. These 4 great Quran reciters are from the Kufa city, and they're chained because when you take Izaja, there has to be a chain to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So only a person who has the real chain, he can give you Izaja in the Quran. So all these 3 that we recite nowadays, especially all of us, most of us, all the masajid, all the Ahl Sunnat al Jama'ah, most of the people, especially in Western countries and even in subcontinent, they follow the recitation of Asim and Hafs and Asim, as we say that. So Asim, he was a student of Abdullah ibn Masud, and and nowadays the way we recite Quran, we teach our students to read, the children to read Quran, is the same way Abdullah ibn Masud used to do. So that is the chain, it comes from there. And also he has other students even in the fiqh, not only in Quran. And as you all know that, in the golden chain, as we call, in the time of Abdullah ibn Umar, does anybody remember what is the golden chain? From which mazhab Abdullah ibn Umar is related? Anybody remember? Which mazhab has very much related with the Sunnah of Medina? They used to think about the Medina. Maliki mazhab, yes. Because Imam Malik was a student of Nafi. And Nafi was the freed slave of, he's not a slave actually, he was a slave, but he became a scholar of Abdullah ibn Umar. So Abdullah ibn Umar, Nafi and Imam Malik, this is the golden chain of hadith. So this is the most authentic chain. Any hadith you find in this chain, there's the most authentic chain. And that's why Imam Malik mazhab is very much depend on the fiqh of Abdullah ibn Abdullah ibn Umar. And for this Abdullah ibn Masud, so he has a student, his student name is Al-Qama, as I mentioned, and he has a student called Ibrahim an-Nakhai. Ibrahim an-Nakhai. And Ibrahim an-Nakhai teach another student, his name is Imam Shaibi. Shaibi was the teacher of Imam Abu Hanifa. So Imam Abu Hanifa, and he's from Kufa, as you all know. Imam Abu Hanifa's fiqh is the same fiqh as Abdullah ibn Masud. So most of the thing, almost everything in Hanafi mazhab, the early Hanafi mazhab that was with Abu Hanifa, was all the ruling that comes from, he always used to mention the hadith and everything from Abdullah ibn Masud. So that is the golden chain of the Hanafi people. If you talk to any Hanafi scholar, they will say all their fiqh, all their fatwas are from the Abdullah ibn Masud opinions. Also the time of fitan. The time of fitan started, as you all know, with the killing of Osman radhiyallahu anh. But Abdullah ibn Masud, like some other great Sahaba, he has good knowledge with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he knew this time of fitan is coming. So he used to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this thing was done by few other Sahaba. We'll talk about it some other day, inshallah. There are a few Sahaba like Abu Huraira, he also used to know about the fitan is coming. Hudayfa ibn Yamin, they used to know about the fitan is coming. So they used to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Allah, take me from this world before the fitna start. So during the time of Usman radhiyallahu anh, when the fitna started to start, this boiling, some of the people from the Kufa, they used to go to Abdullah ibn Masud and try to, from his mouth, they want to listen something bad about Usman. Because they know that if Abdullah ibn Masud says something bad, that is established, meaning it's an authentic thing. So they used to ask a lot of weird questions about Usman, okay? But Abdullah ibn Masud never ever said anything bad, anything negative about Usman. Rather, he said, you can never find a better person after Abu Bakr and Umar who can replace that position, who can be a Khalifa for the Ummah other than Usman radhiyallahu anh. And he fell sick during the time of Usman. So Usman came to his house, Abdullah ibn Masud, and he was very, very sick. So it was not, nobody killed him or nobody poisoned him or nothing. So he was just sick. And Usman asked him, yeah, Abdullah ibn Masud, how can I help you? What causing you problem? So he said, my sins are causing me problem. Even in that stage, how sincere he was. He said, my sins are giving me problem. Then said, can I do something? Can I bring some money for you and for your family? Then he said, no, I don't need all of this. I have Suratul Waqiyah. Okay? He said, I have Suratul Waqiyah for me and for my family. And also he said, should I bring a doctor for you? Because that time doctor was there at that time. Then Abdullah ibn Masud, the doctor is the one who prescribed this sickness. He said, the doctor is the one who prescribed my sickness. Meaning, he said the doctor is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will that he has given me the sickness. And then he started, in front of Usman, he started to say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. He started the Shahada, and he was saying that, and he passed away. And that was the year Hijri 34. So long time before the other Abdullah passed away. Because all the Abdullah was very young at that time. So this is just 24 years later, Prophet Muhammad passed away. The other Abdullah passed away in Hijri 73, which is 39 years later. So that's why we say that Abdullah was much older than them. So he passed away, and he was buried in Medina. His dead body was coming and buried in Medina. And he was a great scholar, as you said, great Sahaba, Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So inshallah ta'ala, with this one, we'll finish the series of Abadilah. We have one more week before Ramadan. So next Sunday, inshallah ta'ala, instead of starting any new series, maybe we'll do a quick summary of another great Sahaba that we can finish in one talk. So it's not, obviously it's not Umar, not Abu Bakr, not Usman, because their life will take a long time. So inshallah ta'ala, it's a surprise for you guys. So if you come join, we'll talk about another great Sahaba. All of you know his name, but we should know his life story also. And with that, we're gonna finish our talk on Sunday before Ramadan. Jazakallah khairan. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.